Om Mama Upata Samasta Duritakshayatwara Shri Parameshwara Prityartham Vidya Siddhyartham Cha Aham Idam Pujam Karishye. Om Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapitha Jambhupala Sarabhakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Panchakam. Om Sumukhaya Namaha. Om Ekadantaya Namaha. Om Kapilaya Namaha. Om Gajakarnakaya Namaha. Om Lambodharaya Namaha. Om Vikataya Namaha. Om Vignarajaya Namaha. Om Vinayakaya Namaha. Om Dhumaketave Namaha. Om Ganadhyakshaya Namaha. Om Phalachandraya Namaha. Om Gajananaya Namaha. Om Vaktatundaya Namaha. Om Shurpakarnaya Namaha. Om Herambhaya Namaha. Om Skandapurvajaya Namaha. Om Shri Siddhivinayaka Swamine Namaha. Om Spatika Varnam Mauktakhimakshamalam Amrita Kalasha Vidyam Jnana Mudram Karagre Dadata Murga Kaksham Chandrachudam Trinetram Vivida Vidrita Vivida Bhutam Dakshina Murtamide. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshina Murtaye Mahyam Shriyam Medham Pragyam Prayachya Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshina Murtaye Mahyam Shriyam Medham Pragyam Prayachya Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshina Murtaye Mahyam Shriyam Medham Pragyam Prayachya Swaha. Om Omkara Simha Sarvendraya Namaha. Om Omkarodhyana Kokilaya Namaha. Om Omkara Nida Shukaraje Namaha. Om Omkararanya Kunjaraya Namaha. Om Nagaraja Sutajanaye Namaha. Om Nagaraja Nijalayaya Namaha. Om Navamanikya Dhyaya Namaha. Om Navachandra Shikhamaniye Namaha. Om Nandita Shesha Maunindraya Namaha. Om Nandishadi Madeshikaya Namaha. Om Moha Nala Sudhasaraya Namaha. Om Moha Ambuja Sudhakaraya Namaha. Om Moha Andakara Taranaye Namaha. Om Mohotpal Nabho Manaye Namaha. Om Bhakta Jnanabdhishitan Shave Namaha. Om Bhakta Keki Ghana Ghanaya Namaha. Om Bhakta Kairavara Kendave Namaha. Om Bhakta Koka Divakaraya Namaha. Om Gajananadi Sampujyaya Namaha. Om Gajacharmojvala Kritaye Namaha. Om Ganga Dhavala Divyangaya Namaha. Om Ganga Pankila Sajjataya Namaha. Om Gaganambara Samvitaya Namaha. Om Gagana Mukta Murthajaya Namaha. Om Vadanabda Jitabja Shriye Namaha. Om Vadanendu Spuruddeshaya Namaha. Om Varadanika Nipunaya Namaha. Om Vanavireka Lolupaya Namaha. Om Teja Bhunjiganakaraya Namaha. Om Tejasamapi Bhasakaya Namaha. Om Vineyanam Tejaf Pradaya Namaha. Om Tejomaya Nijashramaya Namaha. Om Damitananga Sangramaya Namaha. Om Darahasa Jitanganaya Namaha. Om Dayarasa Sudhasindhave Namaha. Om Daridra Dhanashevadhaye Namaha. Om Kshirendu Spatikakaraya Namaha. Om Kshirendu Mukutojwalaya Namaha. Om Shiropahara Rasikaya Namaha. Om Shipraishwarya Phalapradaye Namaha. Om Nana Bharna Mugdhangaya Namaha. Om Nari Sammohana Kritaye Namaha. Om Naga Brahmarasa Swadine Namaha. Om Naga Bhushina Bhushitaye Namaha. Om Murti Nindita Kandarpaya Namaha. Om Murta Murta Jagat Vapushe Namaha. Om Mula Jnanatamo Bhanave Namaha. Om Murti Matkalpa Padapaya Namaha. Om Tarunaditya Sankashaya Namaha. Om Tantrivadana Tatparaya Namaha. Om Tarumulaika Nilayaya Namaha. Om Tapta Jambhu Nadaprabhaya Namaha. Om Tattvapustola Satparnaye Namaha. Om Tapunodupalochanaya Namaha. Om Yamasamyuta Satkirtaye Namaha. Om Yamasamyutamyutaya Namaha. Om Yatindropasa Vigrahaya Namaha. Om I think I made a mistake. Let me start again. Om Tapunodupalochanaya Namaha. Om Yamasamyuma Satkirtaye Namaha. Om Yamasamyuma Samyutaya Namaha. Om Yati Samyut. Om Yati Rupadharaya Maunine Namaha. Om Yatindropasa Vigrahaya Namaha. Om Mandarahara Ruchiraya Namaha. Om Madanayata Sundaraya Namaha. Om Mandasmitala Satvaktraya Namaha. Om Madhuradhal Pallavaya Namaha. Om Manjir Manjupadabjaya Namaha. Om Manipattola Satkataye Namaha. Om Hastankurita Chinmudraya Namaha. Om Hathayoga Parottamaya Namaha. Om Hamsabhyakshamadhyaya Namaha. Om Hamsetvaradhya Padukaya Namaha. Om Meru Shringil Tatollasaya Namaha. Om Meghashama Manoharaya Namaha. Om Medhankuralvalagryaya Namaha. Om Medhapakuphaladrumaya Namaha. Om Dharmikantarguhavasaya Namaha. Om Dharmamarga Pravartakaya Namaha. Om Dhamatraya Nijaramaya Namaha. Om Dharmottama Manorathaya Namaha. Om Prabodhodgara Deepashriye Namaha. Om Prakashita Jagatraya Namaha. Om Pragya Chandra Shila Chandraya Namaha. Om Pragya Manivarakaraya Namaha. Om Jnanantarabhasatmane Namaha. Om Gyatrgyadi Viduragaya Namaha. Om Jnana Gyadvaita Divyangaya Namaha. Om Gyati Kulagataya Namaha. Om Prapanna Parijatagraya Namaha. Om Pranatarthapti Vardavaya Namaha. Om Bhutanam Pramana Bhutaya Namaha. Om Prapanchahitkarakaya Namaha. Om Yattatvamasi Samvedyaya Namaha. Om Yakshageyatma Vaibhavaya Namaha. Om Yajnati Devata Murtaye Namaha. Om Yajamana Vapurdharaya Namaha. Om Chhatradipati Vishveshaya Namaha. Om Chandrashastradi Nipunaya Namaha. Om Chalajatyadi Durgaya Namaha. Om Chandrashastradi Nipunaya Namaha. Om Chalajatyadi Durgaya Namaha. Om Swabhavika Sukhaikatmane Namaha. Om Swanubhuti Rasodadaye Namaha. Om Swarajya Sampadadhyakshaya Namaha. Om Swatma Rama Mahamataye Namaha. Om Hataka Vajrajutaya Namaha. Om Hasodastari Mandalaya Namaha. Om Hala Halojalagalaya Namaha. Om Hardikranti Vimochakaya Namaha. Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha. Om Shri Dayananda Satgurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Maheshananda Satgurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. So as we saw last week, as I mentioned last week, we had started with explaining the meanings of the 108 Dakshinamurti Stotram verses that were written up by Swami Tattvavidananda ji. And I think we did maybe about 14-15 of them, but it was taking a long time and I didn't know whether we could really quite finish it. So I urge you to, on your own, please look into those verses. The explanations are quite well done in Swami Tattvavidananda's book, and please do that on your own. Instead, what I thought we could do is to look at the meanings of the 10 Shanti mantras that we chant before each class, and so we will do that after the explanation of the first mantra. So at least this one we can finish in 10 or 15 classes. So let's do that. And I'm basing these again on Swami Maheshananji's explanation in Hindi on these 10 verses. Very well done. And it's given in this book, which I think some of you might have purchased when I was arranging for the sale of these books. Anyway, it's called the Vaidika Sampradayantargata Aupanishada Dashat Shantayaha. So, Vaidika Sampradayantargataha Aupanishadic Dashat Shantaya. So Dasha Shantaya means the 10 Shantis which are given in the Upanishads, all taken from the Upanishads. So therefore they are Vaidikas, they are Shruti Vakyas. And Sampradaya means that it's been going on for a long time, and this is the tradition. And so these are when something becomes a tradition in the spiritual, at least in the spiritual realm, what that means is that these have been well thought of, well researched, and well recommended. So this is what Sampradaya means, that this is what has been proven over time to be very useful. And so one should resort to it. So I will do that. We will do the first mantra today. And the first mantra, as you know, is Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha, Shanno Bhavat Varyama, Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi, Shanno Vishnururakramaha, Namo Brahmane, Namaste Vayo, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami, Ritam Vadishyami, Satyam Vadishyami, Tanmam Avatu, Tad Vaktaram Avatu, Avatu Mam, Avatu Vaktaram. So this is the first mantra, and we will now look at the meaning. And I think what I will do is some of the verses are extensively commented on by Swami Maheshananji, and this particular one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than 6 pages of really detailed Hindi commentary, as you can see from here. So what I did was, he spent so much time in the various possibilities of the Shanti mantras. So each of the Shanti mantras can be taken in different ways, not just one way, as we will see in some of it today. And so he has gone through all of it. So I thought, instead of looking at all of them, I will choose the principal meanings of the Shanti mantras and go over that. So I have outlined of them, each one of them, and then I will just comment on it. So with that, let us start. So Shannaho Mitraha. So the first thing is the word Sham. So Sham means blessing. Kalyanam, Shantihi, peace. Sukham means just joy. This is what Sham means. And so, and this is the nature of Parabrahman, of Paramatma. This is the nature. The others can borrow it from time to time, as we do. Sometimes we have Sukham, sometimes we don't have Sukham. And so there is a light and shade effect of that. But the light and shade is due to some factors. Like, for example, the sun always shines, but there is a factor that you can make it disappear by the rotation of the earth. Or you can close your eyes and it disappears. And so there are factors that affect Sukham for us. But for the nature of Paramatma, it is Sham alone. And that's why it is sometimes called Shambhu. Shambhu means Sham Bhavati, the one which is always in the nature of Sham. And also Shankaraha. Shankara. So Sham Karoti iti Shankaraha. Sham Karoti means that any Sukham, any Sham that you get is due to the Sham of the Paramatma. So any time of if you are a clay cup, then you borrow your reality from the clay, not from any place else. It is all dependent. So this is the meaning of Sham. Then the next word is Naha. Naha means for us. May you do Sham for us. So for us, Naha means it is a Bahuvachanam. It's a plural. And so here, this is Swami Maheshananji says that this is a vachaka, a description of the samanvaya of the identity between Vyashti and Samashti, between the microcosm and the macrocosm. And what that means is that, really speaking, our attempt at understanding the macrocosm, which is absolute, which is Ishwara himself, which is Paramatma, Parambrahma, should also include reaching out to the relative samashti, not the absolute samashti. And the relative samashti is the society, the family. And we do. So this is exactly what happens, that you are born into a family and you have a family identity. And you also have mutual sukham. So here Swami Maheshananji points out that actually this is more for the society, but let's continue on with the family. In the family, the love and protection of the family comes to you. And you also contribute to the love and protection to the family. It's mutual. And so you also take care of your mother and father, and your mother and father take care of you. And this needs to be extended to the society. So here Swami Maheshananji says that he says that, very interesting, that you can only contribute to the society, the happiness of the society, if you are yourself happy. Only a peaceful person can contribute to the peace of the society. And vice versa. Only a peaceful society can contribute to your peace. This coronavirus is a very good example. So here, what is good for you in terms of your protection and putting the mask on and all that is also good for the society. It's a very clear example of this mutual identification between the society. Anyway, to come back to the verse, the naha, shannaha, shanno, shanno mitraha, shan. So no is the pronunciation, but if you look at the etymological meaning, it means naha. Naha means plural of I, us. May there be sham for us. So this is the meaning of the word naha. And here Swamiji points out that it is not just people, but it includes the entire manifestation, as we are discussing, and we are going to be discussing more in the Purusha Suktam. So it means here even animals, birds, rivers, mountains, fields, the whole thing. This is nothing but a manifestation of Ishwara. And so may Ishwara give the blessings to everyone. And of course, the most important one are the two closest to us, which is other people and animals. So that's why Shanno Astu Dvipade Sham Chatushpade, as we do the Shanti mantra for our evening class on, and so this one is this one particularly points out the animals and the human beings in Purusha Suktam. So that's what it was talk about. Then the next word is mitraha. Shanno mitraha. So mitraha means a friend. So that's one meaning of, so again these words now have multiple meanings. So one meaning, and they're all related. There are different shades of the same idea. So here the word mitraha means a friend, and it is a direct word for Ishwara. So it's a synonym for Ishwara is mitraha. And why it is a synonym for Ishwara? Because we should recognize that our best friend is Ishwara. Best friend. And why? Because the friend is defined to be a person who is good for you, who really takes care of you. We have different words for different relationships. So, for example, there is a word for enemy, who gives you problems, who gives you trouble. But a friend, the word friend means a person who is very supportive of you. This is the word friend. So here, Ishwara is the best friend that we can possibly have. But we just don't know it. And doesn't matter. So for example, a true friend in your life does not depend on your acknowledging his or her help. This is why, for example, Swami Dayananji used to laugh. He said, we never say thank you to our mom. It's not done. Thank you, Mama, Mom. Thank you, Mummy. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Ma. You can thank other people, but you don't need to thank her. Why? Because there is no particular reason to thank her. She is, your whole life should be thankful to her. There's no reason to bring it out and so on. You might just say, if she makes a special dish for you, You can say, oh, thank you, this was nice. Yeah, you can say that. So, a friend is not someone that you need to acknowledge. That is a true friend. If you have to remind someone, then the friendship is not as deep. Here, this is so funny. We don't even know that Ishwara is our friend. Don't acknowledge it. Once in a while for special pujas or something, we just do this, that or the other. But in daily life, how are you recognizing the friendship of Ishwara? But the fact of the matter is that Ishwara is always looking after you. And how? How is he going to look after me? Both in Saguna Brahma as well as Nirguna Brahma. In Saguna Brahma, he does it by providing an infrastructure which is reliable, which you can depend upon. You can see that the water boils at a particular temperature. The sun rises at a particular time. You can rely on it. We just take it for granted. What if the sun doesn't rise and the water stops boiling at a particular temperature and things go haywire? Relatively, they do go haywire once in a while. We get the wrong person elected as the president. It's a haywire. But generally speaking, everything is a nice structure which you can depend on. So this is also a saguna. And then of course, as the antaryami, as the person who regulates your thoughts, gives you a consistent karma phala, looks after for you, provides you with the conscience to do the right thing, not to speak a lie, not to tell a lie, but to speak the truth. And to, here Swami Maheshananji says that particularly, he says in Hindi, for example, I'll just say that in Hindi, this is mitrato मनुष्यों या विद्वानों उपासकों को बिना पलक डाले देखता है. What a beautiful expression. What a beautiful. He says that Ishvara, of course, looks at you, everyone. He looks at everyone and makes sure that you are taken care of. But for those who are anxious to understand and to know the truth about Ishvara, which is the highest one, Ishvara looks at you without blinking. Because when you are blinking, for a moment you don't see. And this is exactly what happens in our life. That sometimes when we have a problem, that is because there is a blink by Ishvara. I mean, this is just a poetic way of saying it. That's really not true. It is our own karmas that give us the karma phala and so on. But really, I think it is the positive side should be seen, that if we turn our attention towards Ishvara, then he makes sure that we are taken care of. Even if you stay away from Vedanta for a while, he will give you a reminder. You'll feel uncomfortable. I need to study more. Anyway, so this is Mitraha. I've only done 3 words out of, 15, 20 of this one verse. And one last quick thing which I will have to repeat because there's more to be talked about it. So here Mitraha is particularly relevant during the day. when you are out and about working, talking, doing, then for the night, it's kind of like my sister has her husband he's got some advanced some medical problems, so she has hired 2 12-hour shifts. One person looks after her husband in the daytime and another 12 hours at the night time. So in this case, Mitraha takes care of you during the daytime, and the next one coming up, which is Varunaha, takes care of you during the night. So this one Swami Maheshananji explains very well, and so we will look into that next week. It's already 8:31. We better get going and study the main text that we are doing. And I will continue on this. Hopefully it won't take as long for the other mantras, but it's going to take a while. There's a lot of meanings in these kinds of things that we should understand. So let us say perhaps I think for this time we will not do all the Dasha mantras. We will just do the Sahana Vavatu, and then we will continue on with the next time just to save time. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, let me put this lamp away. Turn the audio recorder on. And get going. So in studying the 4th chapter of the Karika, Alata Shanti Prakaranam, we were at the verse number 56-57. So let us quickly revise where we were and then go forward. So just a general commentary on this, and this is really the main teaching of Swami Dayananji. He would really just emphasize this part of our looking at ourselves. He would emphasize this repeatedly. It's the most important central part of his teaching methodology, Swami Dayananji's, and which is, we all have, if we analyze our lives, all of us, everyone, by the very existence of our humanness, we have a sense of dissatisfaction with ourselves. And this can be also seen as a non-acceptance of myself as I am. I'm not talking about the world at this point, just about ourselves. But this is a basic fact. You cannot argue with it. It may become more intense at times, and it may abate at times. But like a Shruti, like the tambura in the background, it is always there. So sometimes, for example, the Shruti, the tambura, when there is a big musical overlay on top of that gets hidden. So somebody is singing or someone is playing some kind of a instrument like sitar or something. The Shruti is not heard, but it is there. And when these sounds of the singing, etc., are abated, then the Shruti comes up and you can hear that. So very similarly to that is our life. That this non-acceptance of myself as I am and the non-satisfaction with the idea of who I am, how I am, is going on all the time. All is not well with me, all is not well with me. This is the Shruti, this is the tambura, which is always in the background. And you can drown it by alcohol or by some drugs or by the grace of Ishwara by sleeping. But whenever you are self-evaluating, this Shruti is always there. This being the case, we do, first of all, it is there. Secondly, one should say, well, then maybe let me accept it. If it is always there, doesn't seem to go at all, then I should just be happy with it. No. This is the other part of it. Is that number one, we are not satisfied and we are not happy about the fact that we are not satisfied. So we are always trying to change my setup. This is a fact of life. From birth to death, we are changing a couple of factors. Either ourselves or the world around us, our relationship with the world, the environment. This is what I'm doing. Instinctively, I feel that I need to change some things. And what really, what fools me is that it actually does work for a time. Does work for a time. When you discover a new friend in life, you feel very happy. There's someone who really understands me, who really I can relate to. There's a sense of friendship, of reliance. And Swami Dayanand used to say that, for example, in a teenager, the teenage is a very interesting and rather I wouldn't say dangerous, but some issues with that age, because you are so vulnerable. Because the intensity that who am I? What is my contribution? What is my importance? Everybody else seems to be doing okay. Am I doing okay? And on top of that, the parents are trying very hard to improve you. Why didn't you make your bed? How come you didn't finish your food? How come you didn't do that? Why aren't you doing this? You're sleeping too much. It all contribute towards the self non-acceptance of the person. In between that, you meet person, and especially the person of a different gender, a boy. If you're a woman, a girl, you meet a boy who says, "Wow, I really like you." You said, "Really? You like me? I love you. You're so beautiful. And not only that, but I like the way you are." And you say, "You just like the way I am?" "Yes, absolutely. You think shouldn't I make any changes?" No. What about not making a bed?" And he says, mothers and fathers, they always do that. It's not a big problem. I also don't make up my bed. You also don't make a bed. You are fine the way you are. You're complete. That's it. You fall in love. And if worse comes to worse, you may elope And so we are all looking for a sense of completion. Anyway, that is just one example, but all our life we are changing ourselves, we are improving ourselves, getting more education, getting married, getting divorced, having children, changing jobs, whatever the environment is, all the way looking at myself as, am I doing better? And you may be doing better, but still you are not okay. Because life, to the end of everyone, this is true for everyone, is a sense of non-acceptance of the self, and therefore some action on top of that. Adi Shankara, his most frequent description of this is avidya kama karma. Avidya kama karma. The avidya will come in a minute, but this rotation of avidya kama karma all throughout the lives is the hallmark of this circle. This is samsara. This is exactly what samsara is. This means samyak saratis iti, the one who is continuously flowing. The continuous flow is, I don't accept myself. Okay, so this is a perpetual loop. So now, the relationship to Karika. This is where we need to now, what Karika does is to put a technical understanding, because even a society will tell you, just accept yourself, be okay. And how can I be okay? How can I be okay? And then please just relax, you'll be okay. Don't be stressed out. So this is the normal stuff. Don't be stressed out. Yesterday also there was an article. These days everybody is very stressed out because people have lost their jobs. You can't go outside. All kinds of problems are happening. So there is a lot of stress. And so there are articles about, so there was an article. So I was just looking at to see what can they say? They say same 3 or 4 things. Exercise more. True. More exercise reduces the stress. Sleep better. Eat better. Meditate. All these are stress reducing. But Karika gives a technical meaning, is scientific, ultra scientific, not sort of normal scientific, which is not science. Normal science is not science, but Vedic science is really science. So scientific, reasonable, technical approach to what you should do with this issue of I don't accept myself, and therefore I'm going to do something. I'm going to start a new company, and I'm going to make a lot of money, and you can do that, but at the end of that, supposing you make a lot of money, you ask, are you done? You made more money than you expected? If you're really honest and frank, you'll say, no, I'm not. I still have the same feeling. Why? Because it has not been solved. And so here the Karika comes around and said, listen, your attempts to change things are not going to work. Why not? Because It is until you see that your sense of dissatisfaction is a pattern which has no substance. Your ideas about yourself and your life and your thoughts and your accomplishments and your all those kinds of things. This is what we are doing every day, from morning to evening. We're given some variables and we are changing them, mixing them, rearranging them. Really, it's just like rearranging the deck chairs on Titanic. We are rearranging the deck chairs in our life. It's a pattern. And until we see, Karika says, until you see, according to the Shanti Prakarana, the Alata Shanti Prakarana, this is a pattern with no substance. You have to see, this whole pattern you are superimposing on yourself. Right? This is not exactly what is happening, but supposing the tip were to say that I am rotating, and the rotation is something new, because I was unchanging and now I'm changing. So there are two states. One is a non-changing and one is changing. This is the issue with, by the way, if I can say it, it just occurs to me, this is the thesis of Vishishta Advaita, Ramanujan's Vishishta Advaita, which is a bunk of baloney, absolute baloney. And what it says is that, so let it be two states. There can be a change which is not change, which is still, and one which is a pattern. Let there be two of them. We say, no, absolutely not. There are not two states. There's only one substance. The other one is an appearance. But what we do now to tie this Karika and the explanation to what I started with, which was non-acceptance of myself in life, if I can tie those two. So what happens is that I look at my life and all of the experiences that I am having in my life. This is how I define it. I define myself as an experiencer of experiences. That's how I define it. And this definition presupposes that the experiences are a substance, not a pattern. I don't see that as I feel I am a substance as an experiencer, and the experiences is another substance which is happening to me, and there is a relationship between them. And I feel that, I made a mistake. You stub your toe, or you cut your finger with a knife while you are cutting vegetables, and you are a little bit too rushed, and somehow you, instead of cutting the onion, you cut a finger. And somebody says, what happened? How come you're bleeding? And you say, well, you know what? I was really hasty. It's my fault. It's my fault. And I deserved what I got. I was not really paying attention. It's okay. It'll be okay. This is what our life is. We have a cause and effect relationship with about anything. This is the way I am. Sometimes we rebel because, did I really deserve this? But generally speaking, we feel I am where I deserve to be, and there's nothing else I can do. What I'm going to do is to change it. And here Karika says, do not try to change anything. I mean, if you're hungry, eat. Because to even think you need food. So I'm not saying just sit there and don't do anything. You have to do things that are absolutely necessary. But as a general case, do not try to feel that I am not okay today, but if I am making these changes in my life, then I will be okay. This is not going to work. And the sooner you challenge this conclusion of yourself, which has never worked for anyone in the entire history of the universe, certainly not for you in your life, the sooner you give up this conclusion, the better off you will be. So you say, well, so if I give up this conclusion, what should I do? Because that's the only thing that I know. I'm used to doing it, and now you're coming up with and saying everything is just out of the window. Doesn't make any sense. So what should I do? You have to do Atma Vichara. You have to see, is it really true that I am not happy and I want to change? This you have to examine. And so one says, what do you mean? This is my experience. How do you know that I am happy or unhappy? I am the one who is feeling it. It's like saying, I'm a man, and somebody says, no, you're not a man. Or I'm a woman, and somebody says, no, you're not a woman. You're a monkey. And I say, what are you talking about? I know what I am. Similarly, I know I'm happy, unhappy, whatever it is. By calling me, if I'm unhappy, and by calling me, no, you're not unhappy, you're not helping. So we say, we know. That's exactly what you should react it as. But you please persist and inquire. Yourself you inquire. So this is where you have Guru Kripa, you have Ishwara Kripa, you have Shastra Kripa, you have Atma Kripa. All of these things are to enable you to see, examine yourself. Am I really a limited, unhappy person or not? And in the beginning, nothing will happen. But the more you persist, because this is the truth, and I have no reason to teach this other than for your good. I don't get anything else out of it because I don't want you to be suffering as I was suffering at one time. Shastra says. Well, the Shastra doesn't say it, but the teachers can say it. And this works. So please stay with it. And stay with what? Stay with the fact that you, the Sakshi, which does not change, is the tip of the incense stick of the Alata Shanti. And everything that your idea that I'm changing and I'm moving and I'm here and I'm limited and I'm doing all those kinds of things is false. What? This is exactly what happens. When the Adhisthana is not known, then Adhyasa becomes very prominent. When the underlying nature of a substance like gold or clay, etc., is not understood, then the ornaments and the substances of clay, they assume their own identity. And the more you think about it, so this is where the Alata Shanti comes about, that you have to see that you, the Sakshi, is it. Right now you have not even looked into that. And even when pointed out, you have a hard time understanding. So sometimes we say Sakshi, it looks like just a word, Sakshi, I'm a Sakshi. What does it mean? It means nothing until I am into really looking at it. I have to understand the Sakshi is the one which is unchanging, never born, not possible to die, all over. Sarva Vyapaka, all those things have to be inquired into. If we do, then you find that the attempt to change yourself, it is not changing yourself, it is to recognize what you are, will begin to work. So Gaudapada Acharya ji says that please do the inquiry. So this is the Ajativada, that the Sakshi is Ajatihi. Understand the very nature of Mithya. It's not just a word that you should see. As here Swami Paramarthananda ji, again, with such a good style of breaking down into constituents, he had pointed this out, and I'm repeating, that the word Mithya can be looked into in four ways. The existence of the world is negated. The origination of, number one. Number two, the origination of the world is negated. So this is good. I think we should keep these four things in mind, following the method of teaching of Swami Paramarthananda. So the existence of the world is negated, number one. The origination of the world is negated, number two. The appearance and experience of the world is accepted. And the fact that the experience and the appearance of the world is due to ignorance and the Maya Shakti is accepted. These are the four things. So here, in verse number 56 and 57, so this is what would be called, so the first two, which is the existence of the world is negated and the origination of the world is negated, is called Ajativada. Not Ajati means one which has a specific birth. It's called Jati. Ajati means that does not really have any beginning, any existence. So the dream is very much like that. So at least in the dream you can say it began when I started dreaming. You can say that. But in the Jagrat Avastha you cannot even say that. The Jagrat Avastha is always there. Even though it disappears at night time, but in the previous life also it has always been there. Never began. It is just an appearance. So the first two is captured by Ajativada, and the last 2 points, which is the experience and appearance of the world is accepted, and the reason why it is there is because of my confusion is accepted. These are the two things. These two are what is called Maya Jativada. Maya Jativada means one which is, if you want to say why it happened, it is due to Maya. So this is now talked about in these verses. So let's go into that very quickly. What time is it? 9:01. Okay, I'll try to get, now that I've given you a sort of like a background on this, and I may go a little bit more quickly. So, we saw 56 last time. Let's look at 57. 57, I'll just read the English translation in order to expedite a little bit. Or I can just say it. So 57 says, Samvritya jayate sarvam shashvatam nasti tena vai sadbhavena hi ajam sarvam uchchedas tena nasti vai. So Swami Paramarthananda's English translation is, everything is born because of ignorance, therefore nothing is indeed permanent. As Brahman, everything is indeed birthless, therefore there is no destruction at all. So this one is number 57, which attempts to point out, let's see if he has any detailed explanation of 57. I don't think so. Let me borrow from Swami Paramarthananda's notes. Yeah, here I think the one thing that he pointed out is to refer to the verses of the Gita, which points out that really the world is taken to be a separate entity from Brahman by the people who don't know, by the ignorant. And it is seen to be nothing but Brahman by people who know. So exactly like this, the pattern of the Alata Shanti is taken to be a separate substance from the tip by people who don't know. So as we can construct it, that I remember we did this, and you may have many of you, we actually impress our younger brothers and sisters by this phenomena. We wait for the evening to come and we'll say, I'll show you something very interesting. And you light up this incense stick and then you twirl it. And the youngster says, my God, how did you do that? So in this consternation of, my God, how did you do that? It means, how could you produce this other substance called the pattern? How did you do that? So this is taking the substantiveness of the pattern as real because he's a youngster, doesn't understand. Whereas if you were to take that to an adult and say, let me, the same person, showing to an adult, adult will say, shabash, good, 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 good. I'm glad you're doing all these tricks, but you don't fool me. It is nothing, not a separate substance. It is just the same tip. So here, Swami Paramarthananda gives the reference of the Bhagavad Gita, which is in chapter 2, verse 69, which says, Ya disha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. Same thing. He says, Ya nisha sarvabhutanam. What is night for everyone else, for a samyami. Samyami means one who has become Brahmanishta, one who can see this repeatedly, clearly, without any doubt. It is like a day. It's like for the other people, Brahman doesn't seem to occur. Only tables, chairs, situations occur. But for a wise person, it is nothing but an adhyasa on the adhisthana. It is not just table, it means it's a table thought. And the table thought, you see, this is an important thing to see. You are all very advanced people, you should really know this. That what happens is that the table is actually, the image of the table is in my eyes. That if something, one of the students, that's why I keep my phone on. If something is wrong, everything seems to be okay. So the table image has to enter your eyes, and the mind has to see the image of the table in the eye. The mind doesn't see the table, it doesn't have any way of seeing the table, but the mind sees the perturbations of the mental vritti in the eye, and it says, it looks like a table, and concludes it's a table based on the name which is stored in the software of the mind. Otherwise it just looks at it and says, I don't know what it is, like a baby doesn't know it's table. But if you do the practice of the language and you assign a name, as soon as this image is given, it is given as a table thought. And the table is a thought. The thought is nothing but a modification of, it's a chit-chaya, as will be discussing in Drikdrishya Viveka in the next class. It is chit-chaya. It is nothing but a reflection. So the wise person sees things as nothing but a reflection of Brahman, which is myself. That's what it says. Ya nisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami, and yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. And where other people look the world as a problem, the munihi, mananashila, the one who does mananam, is called muni. Muni says, this is just an appearance. It is not connected to the Sakshi. I am not the mind. The mind is just a reflection. I am not the reflection. How the reflection is so separate from me. It is just an appearance. And as we'll be discussing in the Drikdrishya Viveka, this is Bhranti. To equate the reflection to myself is Bhranti, avidya, moha. So he gives this reference, and he says really nothing is, and this is Brahman alone. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahmakarma samadhina. He gives this reference with verse number 57. Then in 58, He says, Dharma yaha iti jayante tena tattvataha janma mayopamam tesham sacha mayana vidyate. So again, instead of looking at it word for word, I'll just give the English translation. These entities which are born in this manner are not born really. Their birth is comparable to illusion, and that illusion does not exist. So here, Maya upamam tesham means that it is just an appearance, just a pattern generated by someone. That's it. And this is just a simple pattern, and the Jagrat is nothing but a very sophisticated pattern created by the master magician, which is Ishwara, Mayavi. And this is also pointed out in the second verse of the Dakshinamurti Stotram, as you know. Bijasya iva ankuraha bijasyantara iva kura. Where does it go? Bijasyantara Maya bijasyantara samachadinat sanmatra karanopasamharnato yobhut sushuptaf puman. No, that's not it. Anyway, what it says is that Ishwara is Mayavi. Ishwaras bijasyantarivankuro jagadidam maya samachadinat. No, bijasyantarivankuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitrya chitri kritam maya vijambhayatyapi maha yogi vayasvechaya tasmai shri guru murtaye namaidam shri dakshina murtaye. So here he says Mayavi, and the one who is like a master magician, he has created this whole thing, and it has no substance whatsoever. And so vicharam na sahate, once you really inquire into it, it disappears. This is what the verse number 58 is. Then number 59, I think I have a few more minutes, I can continue on. Yatha maya mayat bijat jayate chan tan mayonkuraha nasau nityo na chodyeti cha uchchedi. So nasau nityaha na uchchedi tad dharmar tadvat dharmeshu yojana. So out of an illusion seed, a similar sprout is born. It is neither eternal nor destructible. This logic has to be excluded in the same manner in the case of all entities. So this is a continuation of the magic example of the 58. There is nothing else that needs to be done. Let me see if there was any commentary on this. No, this is pretty simple. Then verse number 60. Na jeshu sarvadharmeshu shashvata shashvatabhidha yatra varnana vartante vivekas na uchyate. In the case of all these entities which are birthless, Brahman, the word permanent or impermanent cannot be applied and cannot be maintained with respect to an entity where words do not function. So you cannot say something is permanent or impermanent. All those words don't apply here because it's just a phenomena. There's no substance to it. And so the non-substantiveness is the one that you and I both have to aspire to. Not easy, but this is the truth and this is the reason. So we should ultimately what it really means is, in our life is, that if possible, stop prolonging a search for changes in your life. This is really what it amounts to, honestly. This is the thing that all these things about, Ajativada and so on and so forth. And it really ties very well with what Swami Dayanandji had always explained. He says that the maturity in our life is defined by the fact that I am not busy making changes in my life. I'm not dedicated to doing it. I am dedicated to taking care of things that are needed to be taken care of because of all the changes that have happened in my life. So this is the Nitya Naimittika Karma. So Nitya Naimittika Karma means that what needs to be done, it is not because of your sankalpa that I need to now do something else. And if you need to, this is what is called kamana and karma. Kamana and karma. Wouldn't it be nice if we did this? This is kamana. And you should see that if something is needed to be done, do it. Because you cannot sit still and not do anything. And in fact, you are required to fulfill the promise of what you have acquired so far. If people depend upon you, you have to go through that. This is how Ishwara's wish is. This is how Prarabdha karma is. But this kamya karma, again, going back to the same thing, kamya karma means that if you think you can solve the non-acceptance of yourself by making changes to yourself or in life, please stop. Please stop and think about it. You don't have to stop if you don't want to. If you say, well, I remember one of the when in the very beginning, when some differences came about, there were some differences between the teaching methodology of Swami Dayanandji and Swami Chinmayanandji. And maybe there were no differences in the teaching methods, but the way people took it was, if you talk to people who had only listened to Swami Chinmayanandji and not to Swami Dayanandji, they will say, Swami Chinmayanand says that we have to exhaust our vasanas in our life. And we are busy trying to eliminate the vasanas. We are very busy because he said that go on living and have a wonderful life and so on, because it is all due to your vasanas. And these vasanas have to be eliminated and it will take a long time. So Swamiji says, Swami Dayananda used to say, this is, I don't remember this so well, I remember this. He says this is not correct, the way people taking it. Maybe Swami Chinmayanandji didn't mean it that way. But certainly people are not taking it. So it just means that do what you need to. And this is how it will exhaust. You don't have to do something to exhaust the vasanas. Because in the process of doing something to exhaust vasanas, more vasanas will be created. This is a never-ending thing. That was very impressive to me in the logic of this. So in some way, at that time, in the very beginning, we had not even studied Mandukya. That came in much later. But the seed of those thinking was very appealing from the logic of it. He says, this is infinite. What are you talking about exhausting your vasanas? And vasanas are going to, it is exactly like, a train which has hurtling with a lot of momentum. And if you switch the engine off, it will take a while. And you cannot say, I am trying to stop the train. Nothing you can do about it. It will do it by itself. Anyway, coming back to this, what it says is that if your stage in life, which is different for different people, younger with children and all that, if the stage in your life is where, like for example, we say don't make any new plans, this does not apply to people with young children they have to educate them. You have to think about what to do, how to earn money, how to protect them and all that. We're not saying all of that. Ultimately, however, there comes a point where if you don't need to do anything, if you don't have to educate your children, that's taken care of, you don't have to buy a new house, that's and so on and so forth, don't waste your time making changes to yourself or to the life. Instead, whatever energies you have, whatever power that you have, whatever emotional value that you have with yourself, devote it to an understanding of viveka and vairagya. Because this is what will deliver to the goods. And in the beginning it doesn't look like, because you're saying, I'm not happy now, so I have to do something to make myself happy. Don't do anything. You can if you're really interested, just have some ice cream to make yourself happy. But eventually you have to just self-inquire. And pretty soon you will discover, not pretty soon, but sometime you will discover that, wow, I don't need to change. I'm okay the way I am. And this is vidya. This is the knowledge that we all have to aspire to. So this is the essence of the Karika. So we will continue on that next week. So with that I close the class today. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Shobharahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. this is Vidya. So, question from Virendra Singh. Why does not samsara disappear even after understanding that there is only existence of Brahma and samsara is only illusion and does not exist? And then the second part of the question similarly. So, this is the difference between the dream that I create and the dream that is created by Ishwara collectively for all of us. Okay? So, if the dream that I create, which I do several times each night, is dismissed, if the dream that I create is dismissed, then everything is dismissed because I am the creator, and once I recognize that there is time to leave, then everything is dismissed. But in the case of the so-called Jagrat avastha, the waking state, which is the dream created by Ishvara for all of us, there the possibility is that I can still see it as a dream, but it will stay there until my prarabdha karmas are exhausted. You see, so what happens there is that this is something that you have to understand, that Virendra, very carefully, that just because the dream, the samsara actually will go, but the appearance will continue until my prarabdha is exhausted. But that doesn't mean that I do not see the Mithyatwam of my experiences. And when I do see the Mithyatwam, then the word samsara disappears. Then I am not deluded anymore. I enjoy it. Once you understand, this is the experience of all gyanis. And I can give you my own experience of this, that really at this point, the whole world stops to bother you. You are okay the way you are because you are really just looking at yourself as something which is unaffected by this. And so this will happen. So don't doubt it by saying just because the world is there, therefore I am not completely okay. That's not true. The appearance will continue, but its ability to bother you will disappear. You will just be content with who you are. And so this is the phenomena of the Ishvara's dream. Here our Acharyas also say that suppose you were to understand that you are Brahman and this is just an illusion, and if you were to disappear right at that moment, okay, right at that moment, so just look at it. You're sitting there doing Samadhi. Until now you have not understood that you are Brahman. And the whole family is your door is closed, and the entire family is aware of the fact that you are in Samadhi. Right? You are in Samadhi, and the door is closed in the room. And you are in Samadhi. Until now you have not understood that you are Brahman. All of a sudden you understand you are Brahman. The moment you understand you are Brahman, you disappear. Just like in a dream, you also disappear. So your wife is waiting outside and saying, this guy has been, normally he meditates for half hour. It's already been 45 minutes. She opens the door and you are not there. Imagine what will happen. If people will go puff, 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 all of a sudden they are disappearing. Another thing the Acharyas all said was that really the person who teaches is the one who knows Brahman to a certain extent, to a large extent. If you know Brahman and you disappear, how will this teaching take place? This teaching will only occur from Brahmacaris who are still aspiring to know the Brahman. They are not really, they are also ignorant at this point. They are also learning like you. There will be no teacher. Anyway, so all these kinds of things. So, you've had this doubt for a long time. And you have to really wrestle with this. So this is what is called Badita-Samsara. Badita-Samsara means that, I'll give you another example. So supposing you are lying in bed and this happened to all of us, I think. Our children at some age, they say, I'm going to play a trick on my parents. So they get these black rubber scorpions and they put it next to someone who's lying in the bed. And the moment you take your bed covers off, you feel this scorpion touching your body. Really, this has happened to us. And it is cold, and you say, my God, how could you just spring out of the bed with fear? And then you find that this stupid youngster is laughing, saying, wow, I fooled you. Instantly you know that this bichu, which is a scorpion, is a rubber bichu. That is not a real bichu. How would you feel? No, the bichu has to disappear before I realize that this is, I cannot, as long as I see the bichu, the scorpion, I am not convinced. Hey, this is foolishness. You people someone has told you this is a rubber one. It looks like a real one. You admire it. You say, wow. This is exactly how samsara is. It doesn't have to disappear for you to feel good. Anyway, I'm just giving you a long answer. I hope you change your questions to something different because this has been well discussed and something we all have to think about. Good, but I'm happy that you asked this question. Kalyan Raman, in Swami Paramathananda Ji's description of the characteristics of Mithya, are the first two conditions for dreams that are created in consciousness and the last two for the shared Jagrat experience? In a way, you might say that, Kalyan. That's not a incorrect way of characterizing. But really speaking, the first two are a reason for the last two. You see? So they are a combination. The first two cannot be, the last two cannot be understood until the first two are grasped well. So it's a combination of those two, but I think the way you characterized it is not incorrect. I think that is that works. I think we will stop at this point to enable me to just get a glass of water and be ready for the next class. Thank you so much. We'll see. Oh, wait a second. An important thing. I forgot completely. Next week, we're going to have this class on Sunday, not Saturday. And I'll send you an email. The reason for that is that Saturday, we're going to have a special countrywide convention of Aim for Seva, which I'm going to send you information on. You might already know that. So Srini requested me to change my classes. Normally I don't do it, but I think we will do it on Sunday, same time, and I'll send you an email because of that. Okay? Bye-bye. Namaste.